I'll quickly introduce Vikram Prabhu and Amarnath Prabhu. So Vikram Prabhu was born in a Vaishnav family. He's associated with ISKCON since 5 years now. He's brilliant with his service. This is what I have noticed personally, and I'm sure many of you have noted as well. And he's always eager to serve their lordships. On the professional front, Vikram Prabhu works at JLR as a senior technical lead. About Amarnath Prabhu was introduced to Bhagavad-gita very early in his life. Amarnath Prabhu is an active member of the cleaning seva team and renders temple cleaning service every week. By profession, he's an electrical engineer. All right. So, Vikram Prabhu, maybe you can start with Jai Radha Madhav and then proceed with the Bhagavad Gita session.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for the kind introduction. Let's start with Jai Radha Madhava. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yamunatira Vanachari, Yamunatira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I start with the Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurun Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Anvitam Tamshat Jivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Litha Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna to all of you. Thank you for joining. I start by expressing my humble obeisances unto you all devotees. At the same time, I would like to express my gratitude to you all for giving this opportunity to share and learn with you. I will try my best to discuss this chapter 15. If anything good comes out, it's definitely due to the mercy of Krishna, Guru Maharaj, my parents, and all you senior devotees and the devotees from my all previous journey. And if there are any mistakes, it's due to me. I am open for correction. So I have made some slides, and as I think you can see my slide, I'll just turn off my video just to avoid the bandwidth loss. Okay. I hope everybody can see my screen there. Yeah. Let me resume. Okay. Yeah. So I have made some slides and would like to present them so that I don't lose the train of thoughts, and usually consider it to be useful in lengthier discussion. So this slide is based on the purport by Srila Prabhupada ji, along with inputs from various devotees to aid in better understanding. I can share the sources if required. This chapter is called as Purushottam Yoga, or Yoga of Supreme Person, uh, and is considered auspicious, when it is recited during Purushottam Mass or Adhik Mass, or sometimes also called as Mala Mass. So it has 20 verses, and surprisingly, like few days before, I was checking the Jagannath Puri's live darshan of the Patitapan temple. So they are reciting these very verses in front of the Jagannath Ji. So that is again a motivation for us to possibly recite the verses. Um, so regarding the organization part, so the first 10 verses will be discussed by me, and if Amarnath Prabhu wants to add some points, he can do so. And from 11 to 20 verses will be taken care by Amarnath Prabhu. Um, Verses 15 to 17 will be jointly discussed. In addition, I request you all to jump in to append my understanding at any point of time. Furthermore, like if we want to talk about what actually happened in the chapter 14, uh, and how it is linked with chapter 15. So in chapter 14, we came across three modes of material nature, and their tendency to bind us back to this material world. Surprisingly, we noticed that even the mode of goodness can also lead to material bondage. We may think that bad karma can be binding us back to this world, but even good karma can also be binding us to this material world. Then we understood that we should transcend beyond these three gunas by devotional service unto Krishna. The basic principle of devotional service is detachment from material activities and attachment to the transcendental service of the Lord. So it's just like lower taste can be given up only by experiencing higher taste. So having said that, let me show you how we are trying to divide this verses into subsection. So we start off with discussing about the material world. So Krishna, he uses the analogy of a banyan tree and compares it with that of the material world entanglements. Later, he suggests us to detach ourselves from this tree. Then he also gives us a glimpse of his Parandhama, or like his supreme abode, Golok Dhama, and so that we can desire to get into his Dhama. And then he also mentions that if in case if we don't try to get into the Golok Vrindavan, then we will be again moving back and forth into various species, and we'll be doing this transmigration of soul from one body to another. Furthermore, in from the verses 12 to 15, he suggests that even if we try to question his authority, even if we try to become materialist, then still for doing the material enjoyment also we are dependent on Krishna, because he takes care of our maintenance on our day-to-day activities as well. And furthermore, in verses 16 to 18, there's a description about the Vedanta Sutra. And then finally, Krishna says that he is the Supreme Personality upon which everybody rests upon. So, having said that, in case if I speak fast, please, please stop me and just let me know, because I have lost a bit of fluency in English. My English has become very horrible. So in case if something is not understood properly, or if I start running or talk fast, then please interrupt me. Thanks for that. And one more thing, one specialty about this chapter is that there are several verses which refutes impersonalism, voidism, and Mayavad philosophy. So it happens to be one of the favorite chapters of most of our Vaishnava acharyas, because they get some or the other verses which counteract the various atheistic philosophies. So the first four verses are like rough waters for me, so please bear with me. I'll try my best to simplify uh, with them. So having said that, let me give a very quick brief about this slide, which will be useful in our the first few verses. So the ultimate purpose of Vedas is to understand Krishna. So we see that the Vedas are divided into three verticals: the Karma Kanda, the Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda. Karma Kanda is basically associated with rituals which will give you fruitive benefits. Predominantly, around like 90-95% of verses are related to which related to get some or the other spiritual benefit, some or the other worldly benefit. Like if you want money, you can perform this yajna. If you want good family, you can perform this yajna. So basically, these verses will make us to further get entangled into the this material world. On the other hand, Jnana Kanda is associated with the speculative knowledge, like questioning about the authorities. So both the Karma Kanda and Jnana Kandas are not recommended for the devotees. So we focus our attention only on the Upasana Kanda or the Bhakti Kanda. So primarily, the main essence of the Veda is to understand Krishna and not to use the Karma Kanda portion of the Vedas for fruitive benefits, which will eventually make us more bounded to the material world. With that, I start my first verse. अथ पञ्चदशमोऽध्यायः श्रीभगवान् उवाच ऊर्ध्वमूलम् अधः शाखम् अश्वत्थं प्राहुरव्ययम् छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित्. Prabhuji, can I have some volunteers to read this translation? Like, if
Yeah,
one.
okay, I'll read it.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank
The
you.
Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "It is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upwards and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas."
Thank you, Prabhuji. Like I will be discussing both one and second verse together because both are connected to each other. So the second verse, अधश्च ऊर्ध्वं प्रसृतास्तस्य शाखा गुणप्रवृद्धा विषयप्रवाहा अधश्च मूलानि अनुसन्ततानि कर्मानुबन्धीनि मनुष्यलोके. Translation, please.
I'll read the translation. The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So here Krishna is talking about a banyan tree, and if we go by the description, it seems that the tree is inverted or upside down. So we can see such kind of tree only on a reflection in the river water. So Krishna compares here this tree with that of the entire material world, because for the one who is engaged in fruitive activities, there is no end to this tree. As you see here, this tree is huge. It has a lot of roots propagating even in the downwards as well as in upward direction. And I mean, if you happen to Bharat and if you go to some village or some temple, you will usually find this Ashwatha Vriksha. And then it is also so huge that even more than two or three people can't even hug it completely. So the main idea here is that our material desires are also as deep rooted as this tree, and it also has several branches. Because just like our material desires, we also try to hop from one branch to another to taste various fruits, and then we are never satisfied with one branch. We keep on changing the branches. So that represents our material enjoyment propensities. Then Krishna says that we should, like in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that we should, develop a process of releasing ourselves from the material world. And then the only way suggested in all the previous chapters and also in this chapter is the devotional service. And then how that can be done is by associating with devotees and then hearing them about the knowledge about the Krishna. Furthermore, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that this particular verse itself, it refutes the impersonalism. So, as we know, impersonalism or Nirakarvadi, they believe that there is just one, nothing, there's no dual, like there is no akara. So, everything in the liberated state, it's Nirakar, there's no variety, there is no variegatedness. But here the smart argument is that if the reflected tree has so many attributes, if the tree has so many leaves, so many branches, so the real tree, which is in the spiritual world, will definitely also have some or the other attributes, or like or some or the other personality in general, or some or other variegatedness, as mentioned. So this shows that the spiritual world is full of variety and not just undifferentiated Brahman, which is like center of all manifestation. Now, furthermore, here it is mentioned that if somebody knows this tree, then it is as good as knowing the Vedas. Because the main idea here is that one should know how to cut off the attachment to this tree. because this tree is a representation of material world. Because no matter whatever we try to do in this reflected world, we will not be able to get the real enjoyment. So imagine, like, trying to eat fruit here in the reflection, we will not be able to catch hold of the fruit, no, despite several of our efforts. On the other hand, if we focus our attention on the real tree, which is in the spiritual world, or in general the spiritual, if we try to desire to enter into the spiritual world, then there is a very high chances that we will be, escaping from this cycle of birth and death. And furthermore, here, as I have already mentioned about the Vedas, here the Vedas are compared with the green leaves, because the green leaves form the basis for the fruits to sprout upon them. And then, as we discussed earlier, Vedas have something for everybody. If somebody is materialistic, they have Karma Kanda has got a lot of them to for them to offer. And if somebody is spiritualist, there is something for them as well. But just by reading the Vedas, like, we might think that, okay, we want to become Vedic or we want to become devotee, but there is a pitfall in the Veda in the form of karma kanda, which can easily allure the best of the best and then make them to get entangled again and again. Instead, we should focus on the bhakti kanda or the upasana kanda aspect of the Veda, and always be very sure that the Krishna is the main purpose of the Vedas. Like every Veda, they propound and talk about Krishna himself. Having said that, I go to the third and fourth verse. न रूपमस्येह ततोपलभ्यते नान्तो न चादिर्न च संप्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा ततः पदं तत्परिमार्गितव्यं यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूयः तमेव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये यतः प्रवृत्तिः प्रसृता पुराणी. Translation, please.
The real,
Akash Prabhu, go ahead.
The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So in purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that when we are entangled with the material world or the material expansion of the tree, we cannot see how far the tree is. Similarly, we cannot see how far our material requirements are. This is because, if you look at the analogy of the tree, we cannot see the beginning of the tree. We cannot see the end of the tree because it's very huge. It has so many roots. But despite that, one has to find out the way and search out for the origin by associating with the persons who know about the Supreme Personality of the God. This is because whatever entanglements we have in our life or in the material world, it is caused by, like the primal cause for that is our father of the father, Sri Krishna. So it's mentioned in the purport that once we try to surrender to him, then by associating with the devotees who are in the knowledge of Krishna, that discussion results in making us to surrender to him, and this surrender this devotional service results in automatic detachment from this tree. And furthermore, it is also mentioned that, like, there is an analogy for this also. Like, if at all we have a entangled sacred thread, so the only way to detangle the sacred thread or the Yagnopavita is to catch hold of the Brahma knot. So once we catch hold of the knot, we can easily detangle the sacred thread as well. Furthermore, like in earlier chapters, Krishna mentions that how the attachment develops. There's a very famous verse, Dhyayato Vishyan Punsaha Sangaste Shopajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodho Vijayate. So which means that while contemplating on the material objects or the sense objects, the attachment develops, and from that attachment leads to lust, and if the lust is not fulfilled, then it leads to anger. And we have several series of events being mentioned in the next verses. So here the main culprit is contemplating on the sense objects that lead to material attachments. So now the remedy for this is again given by Krishna in a previous verse. Krishna uses this analogy of a tortoise limb. So if you know, like whenever the tortoise limb, whenever tortoise it senses danger, it suddenly retracts its limbs. So similarly, when we think that our material senses are, like getting in the code red area, or like in are getting in a contemplating mode, then we should immediately retract our senses and then put it into the lotus feet of Krishna and try to chant the Maha Mantra. So that in that way we can, regulate our senses, and then we are not entangled, or we are not falling into this attachment again. Here, the important words are asanga. Here, and also there is one more word which is called as dridena chitva. Masanga shastrena dridena chitva. Like with the acts of firm determination, we should cut the attachment to this material tree. And just a second, my notes. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So here, Suviruda Moolam Asanga Shastrena Dridena Chitva. So this deep-rooted tree should be chopped off by the acts of firm determination. So as we discussed earlier, the only way is to have the knowledge about the God by associating with devotees and sadhus, and such a surrender will automatically lead to detachment. And furthermore, we should understand that detachment doesn't mean that one becomes emotionless, or like one becomes insensitive or hard-hearted, but instead the detachment means that we should be clear-headed or level-headed enough to identify that whether this particular attachment serves my higher purpose of reaching to Krishna. If the answer is no, then there should not be any further thought before disconnecting it. So we have this very famous verse from I think Chaitanya Charitamrita: Anukulasya sankalpaha pratikulasya varjanam. So we should only be looking for the attachments which will help us to progress in our bhakti marga, and not any other material entanglements which will keep us pulling back to the same material world. Furthermore, one more example is from the Mahabharata. As we know the story of Arjuna, like initially he was bewildered because of his excessive attachment towards uh, his great grandfathers, and he was refusing to pick up the weapon. And then he eventually gets enlightened by Krishna in the form of the Gita Upadesh, and then he picks up his weapon and then he fights. But then there's a situation when his son Abhimanyu was killed by the battlefield by some deceitful means. That time Arjuna didn't thought that okay, Abhimanyu is a soul, he's not his soul, he's not a body. And then he didn't stop crying, he expressed his emotions, he cried in front of his son. But the very next moment he was so determined that he picked up his weapon and then he went and performed his varnashrama dharma, that is to fight. So that's a message for us, like attachment, we have to we have to be very careful and like selectively control our emotions and manage our attachments, so that we are always like if we are kind of magnet, we are always pointing towards the direction of Krishna. Yeah. So with that I move to the next slide. So till now, like I mean, this is this as I hope you can see my screen. I can use some pointers. Okay. Anyway, I think this arrow is visible. So here, this I got it from one of the website of ISKCON, and I thought it to be useful for discussion. So as you see here, we have this deep-rooted inverted tree, and we have all the acts which are binding to us, this tree itself. So our focus should be to disconnect with this tree and try to associate with Krishna in his spiritual abode. So one can be free from the material entanglements by cultivating a transcendental desire to enter into the spiritual planet. So that's the main message from these 4 verses. So having said that, now we enter into some shallow waters, some comfortable things. So yeah.
I can't see the picture.
Sorry?
I can't see the picture.
This one?
I only.
I can see it.
I can see it. Yes.
I don't know what happened.
Maybe if you come out of the grass.
No, I don't know how to come out. Can you see me first?
Yeah, we can.
You can see me?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
Prabhuji.
okay. I can't see myself here. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, then continue, please. Something wrong with my setting. You
Okay.
continue, Prabhu.
Yes, okay, Prabhuji. Thank you. Moving on to the next verse. निर्माणमोह जितसङ्गदोष अध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामाः द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्ता सुखदुःखसङ्गै.
Prabhuji, Haribol.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Can you sing it a bit? Because you're rushing through it. It says beautifully. Nirmana moha
जितसङ्गदोष अध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामा द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्ता
Vimukta
सुखदुःखसङ्गैर् गच्छन्त्यमूढा पदमव्ययं तत्.
Remember, it's a Gita.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. Yeah, I'll play that video, Prabhuji, after the end, like from the Patit Pavan temple. Okay. Somebody can please read the translation.
Haribol Prabhuji, I can read it.
Yeah.
Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. Haribol.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mataji. So in this verse, Krishna sets up the requirement for surrender. He's setting up he says that what are the qualities which are required for the person to enter into his abode, or somebody who wants to surrender into the Krishna. So the first one is that one should be free from the illusion. So in this entire world, we are under the false impression of created divisions of false proprietorships. We think that this land belongs to me, this car belongs to me, this building belongs to me. In case of devotees, it's a different thing. I'm talking only about the materialist, because devotees, they know pretty much the principle of utilities principle. So then they pretty much know how to make use of the material things also for devotion. But this illusion about proprietorship is more on the materialistic people. And from this illusion, we develop a sense of false ego. So the next criteria is that one should be free from pride. So we as a conditioned soul are often puffed up and we think that we are the doers. But we should understand that without his grant, we cannot do anything. There's a saying, Tena vina trinam api na charati. Without his grant, not even a single blade of grass will move. And only by developing the knowledge that I am not the Lord, only then one can, become qualified for surrendering into the Krishna. And that marks the beginning of his journey towards Krishna. Give me some water. The next quality is about the freedom from false association. These are caused by familial, social, and national affections. And also the next is the freedom from dualities. So like we often keep having this, swings in our behavior. Like we will be suddenly happy when we are excessive, when we get some good news, and then we suddenly become distressed when we have some bad news. So that is not a favorable quality for surrender. So a devotee is always equipoised. Like we have a verse again, yadrichala vasantushto dvandvatito vimatsaraha, which means somebody who is beyond the dvandva, the dualities, he is eligible for surrendering into the Krishna. Let me pull up the purport here from the fifth verse. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fine. I think it's in the next verse because I wanted to read. Yeah. Okay. Fine. I'm just trying to manage multiple screens. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Moving to the next verse. This is one of my favorite one. न तद्भासते सूर्यो न शशाङ्को न पावकः यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम. That supreme abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world. So now Krishna, after telling us to detach from the material world, he gives us the second option, like where we should desire to enter into. Here it is mentioned that there is all the planets are self-luminous. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that they are self-luminous because they derive their shining effulgence from the Brahma Jyoti, and all this Brahma Jyoti, it comes from the planet of Krishna. It is Golok Vrindavan. Now, here Krishna, he tells us to tells about his supreme abode to conditioned or fallen souls like us. This is because we have some amount of free will, and using that free will we can get captivated by this information, and we at least tend to desire to transfer ourselves back into the spiritual world and release our connection to this material world. On the other hand, if somebody is excessively attached to the material world and if he doesn't knows any other options, then he will continues to enjoy his material propensities in this world. So now then the question is how such a desire can be developed. Srila Prabhupada explains in his purport. I'll read the purport as it is. One should search out for a society dedicated to Krishna consciousness and learn how to discharge devotional service. In this way, he can cut off his attachment to the material world. One cannot become detached from the attraction of the material world simply by dressing himself in saffron cloth. He must become attached to the devotional service of the Lord. Therefore, one should take it very seriously that devotional service, as described in the 12th chapter, is the only way to get out of this false representation of the real tree. And it is also mentioned that once we are into the spiritual planet, certain Shruti and Smriti Granthas, they say that we will develop the bodily features as that of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We also will be looking like Vishnu Dutas, or we will have one-to-one, face-to-face discussion with Supreme Lord. And there will be a lot of adan pradan between the Supreme Personality and the his consorts. Now that there comes a question like why a living entity will never be satisfied until he reaches the supreme abode. The answer is that it is our constitutional position to be related with Krishna. So Krishna is like a magnet, and then we are like the metal, the ferrous metal. But unfortunately, we have got rusted because of our anarthas. So Bhakti Yoga suggests that using Bhakti Yoga, we can get rid of this rust so that we are naturally attracted towards Krishna. And second thing is, imagine a situation of a bird or a parrot, which is it is in a cage. Despite if it is in the golden cage, it will never be happy because its original home is the sky. It belongs to the atmosphere. It belongs to the environment. So similarly, we belong to the Krishna's abode, and we are in the material world, and hence we tend to enjoy it, but we are not able to enjoy the material world. So this forms the basis of the next verse.
Before you go on to the next one,
Yes, Prabhuji.
I have a question. When the living entity is in the spiritual world, because here it says once you get there you don't fall down, so where did we really come from? The thing is, when we're in the spiritual world, did we desire to be in the material world?
Prabhuji, in the spiritual world, there can be some lila, like in case of Jaya Vijay, we know that they also fell down to
But that's two of them.
Yeah, and there will be certain.
Brilliant.
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji, please.
No, but they were cursed basically to fall down.
See, my point is that we are Satchitanand.
Yes.
We have knowledge and everything. So did we desire to be in the material world, or we were forced to be in the material world because of something?
Prabhuji, I think, if we were in the spiritual world as that of the Golok Vrindavan, then we will never desire for a material association because we will be in a full Satchitananda stage. We are not after any material hankering. On the other hand, if we are in some other planets, then we will definitely have this tendency to lord over the material nature. Yeah, that's what I can think of. And second thing is, Prabhuji, there are certain Nitya Muktas, they can, they can come down even from the Golok Vrindavan to Dharti for doing the Leela. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about people like you and I. We will find ourselves here. Just now the question came in my head before. I know some of the answers. But did we desire to be in the material world? Because if we
yes,
desire to be in the material world, but we are Satchit Anand, so we have knowledge that the material world is full of misery and temporary. Why did we desire to be in the material world? So it must be we didn't desire to be in the material world, but we wanted independence. And
yes,
so the Lord says the only way you can be independent of me is in the material world where you can't see me that easily. Whereas over there, you just said, if you're in the spiritual world, you can talk to the Lord directly. So it looks like we didn't come to the material world because we desired it, because we said because of desires, is because we desired to be independently enjoying a world. The Lord is facilitating that by sending us to this world. So it's temporarily we come here, but we experience the misery, the difficulties of this material world, to realize, look, this isn't a wonderful place, like a nightmare. And then we go back. We never desire we want to come back because we've had the experience of a bad holiday.
yes, yes.
Yeah. So that's my take on it. Unless somebody else wants to say it. I don't think that living entity desire to be in the material world.
Prabhu, how can Krishna say that you can be independent in the material world? Because now, even in the material world, we are all dependent on Trump now.
No,
Krishna,
material
right.
thing. It's not that you'll be independent of everything. It's just that we want to enjoy ourselves independent of Krishna, of the Lord. So this is the only place they can come to and play. But then they suffer for it. And my whole idea is to understand this, saying those who reach it never return to this material world. So that's great because we've had a bad holiday here and we will say, I don't want to come back again. And that's why repeated birth and death happens. Till we desire strongly, I want to get out of here. Majority are dying in ignorance. They think this is it. When you die, it's finished. But it isn't finished. The soul never dies. So it looks like there's a repeated birth and death. So once you go from here, return it by mercy of Prabhupada, the great saints, then you never come back unless you sent on a mission like a Nitya Siddha. Nitya Siddha is a saint like Prabhupada. He wouldn't have been punished to come here. He was sent here to save the souls. Same as Jay and Vijay at the weekend we said, Jay and Vijay, when they come, they attract a lot of bad people. So the Lord not only kills Ravan and he kills all of his soldiers and everything who are baddie guys, So looks like, just came now, I never thought of it before. We can't be desiring the material world when we're in the spiritual world. It's just that we want to enjoy independent of Krishna. And then we find a material world and it gives us ahankar, which is false ego, that I am this body. And that's where the suffering starts. So that's it. It's all clear. I just want to share it, that we can't be desiring, because you were talking about desire in the material world.
Yeah. Prabhuji, then I have a question here. So then it means that we can misuse our free will even in the Golok Vrindavan. Like if I
No,
understand.
not misuse it. Have a desire. Because just
Okay.
remember, there's Kalpavriksh there and Kamden cows. So there are more desires over there than here, because there's bigger facilities. So Kamdenu cow fulfills all your desires and the tree. Then you end up desiring that everybody's having great fun, but we all, remember Krishna there and Narayan there in the thing. So you just want to enjoy, you think in the material world as well, it's the same facility. No, it's perverted. That's why the tree is shown, this upside down tree. So there's desires in the spiritual world and there's desires over here. But you make an error by saying, let me enjoy myself because... Yeah.
I had a thought on that in the spiritual world, everyone's desire actually is just to please Krishna.
Yeah.
So even when they're doing the Leela, they're not desiring to please themselves, like they're desiring to please Krishna. And through that, they're all naturally very, very satisfied. So when we desire just to please ourselves and not just to please Krishna, then you can't do that. Everything there is dovetailed towards pleasing Krishna.
I think we got to have it that you want to enjoy independent of Krishna.
But that's what it means. Because in the spiritual world, everyone's pure bhakti means desiring to serve Krishna without any desires for yourself.
Yeah,
It's
that's
literally-
criteria. But I don't think for a simple desire to just enjoy yourself, like, oh, let me eat this pizza on my own.
No, not like that. It's like enjoy separate from Krishna. But in the spiritual world, everyone's trying to please Krishna. Like the gopis' love is there. They're not trying to make themselves happy. They don't care if they're unhappy, but they just want Krishna to be happy.
Yes.
Srila Prabhupada has described this as a misuse of our independence.
Yes.
We are
Somebody.
for some
Akash,
reason
Prabhu has a question.
Krishna is the enjoyer there. He's the Purush.
Yes.
Rest of us are Prakriti in different forms. Well, for some reason, this is how it's always been, to us in ISKCON, that, for some reason, we desire to enjoy independently of Krishna.
That's it.
And that is Krishna saying, well, that can't happen here. Because I'm the Purush, I'm the enjoyer, you're all the enjoyed. If you want to be in my position, you need to go away, you go away from me. Where you cannot
So they really didn't desire to be in the material world. That's what I mean. And because if I desire to go to Spain, say, and that week is floods and everything, next year somebody says, you want to go to Spain? I say, no, thank you. I've been there. But that's a desire to go to Spain. But if somebody is like sent to prison because they did something wrong, so what would be that wrong? That wrong would be, as Guru Savik saying, as you're saying, as Prabhupada saying, misuse of the option. Like, you're wise there, you know everything, just saying, I think I want to enjoy myself on my own without Krishna. That Krishna facilitates by sending you here. And just remember, there's no time in spiritual world. Time is only here. So what seems like long time, you are not even a dot over there. You haven't even been away, really, according to spiritual world. But because you're coming here, the time kicks in and you're caught in the time period. It's like a nightmare at nighttime. It's not real, but you're dreaming, you just sweat, you wake up sweating. So I would say when you go back, you don't even realize, you think, oh my God, that was a nightmare. That's it. But while we are here, my God, when was the last time we were in the spiritual world? We don't know. So we are really caught in the time trap because of that mood of enjoying independently without Krishna there. Because just remember one thing, when Radha and Krishna are together, they're enjoying themselves. The Sakhis enjoy 100 times more by facilitating their union. And the Manjaris enjoy 1,000 times more. So the enjoyment factor is there, but the source is Radha and Krishna. It's not that they want to enjoy somebody else. So when you say, I want to enjoy that without Krishna being the center, that's why when you are sent to material world to experience that, which we do, and we find Dukhalayam Ashashvatam, and then we're looking for ways to go back. And that's what Prabhupada said again and again, going back home, back to Godhead.
But Prabhuji, I have got one since long.
Yes.
In the last line, Bhagwan is saying, those who reach it never return to this material world. He never said that even if you have a desire or anything, he's not explaining that, okay, let's say if you have a material desire, then you will come back from my abode to the earth. So does that mean that we have a 14 planetary system and Brahmalok is on the top and we didn't reach at that point? That's why we got a desire on the different planetary system. That's why we come back on earth and we haven't reached to the Golok, Vrindavan or Vaikuntha.
No, you got different mindset there. We're not talking about the material world at all. We're talking about the spiritual world, which is above Brahmalok and all that. There's Nadi, river, and on the other side is the spiritual world. We come from there.
Okay.
That Prabhupada said we fall down because we want to misuse our independence, which is Swarat. Krishna is Swarat, totally independent. We are minutely. So we decided to enjoy ourselves without him there. So there's only one place you can do that because you can't see him readily here. So he sends you here. And because we are soul, we never die. But just like if we went into the ocean, we need a diving gear. As you go to the moon, you need a spacesuit. So this is our spacesuit. And we are inside, but we think we are the spacesuit. of course, you got to look after spacesuit. If you got a leak in it, you die. So Krishna has sent us here, not because we desire to be in the prison, Durga, this is called Durga, because we wanted to enjoy ourselves independent of him. So we are sent here as an arrangement where the time catches you. Over there, there's Nitya Siddhas who never desire that. Then there's Nitya Baddhas who are here. And that's not Nitya really, Anadi. Forever, we must have been in spiritual realm first, then to be in the prison called Durga. So then, but it seems like Anadi, like long, long time. So this verse is for us, that when we return, then you never get back. But my question was originally, how did we get here? Because that is, many people have asked that. It's famous in ISKCON, yeah. So that's why we're saying misuse of independence.
Prabhupada
that is-
said that
Prabhuji, then there comes another question, like you said that we have this tendency to develop, to enjoy independent of Krishna.
Not tendency, we chose to do that.
Yeah, but then there should be certain mode. It should be either mode of passion or mode of ignorance responsible for that.
There is
But
no,
then the question, how that will be active there in the
in Gunatit, in spiritual, there's no modes.
yeah, that's what.
But because I said Kalpavriksha and Kamdenu, so the desires are also spiritually more variety than here. And what happens is when somebody becomes selfish, and that's not because of any mode, you know, that's one of the options, because Krishna wants to see Radharani, Radharani wants to see Krishna. That's a desire, right? The Sakhis want to serve Radha Krishna together. Some of the Sakhis want to enjoy Krishna without Radharani. Tulsi did that, and Radharani cursed her, and that's how she ended up in this place. It was part of the Leela though. So please don't think in the spiritual world there isn't exchanges between the Lord and others as well. There is, but they don't seek a life without Krishna or Radharani. When they do, thinking this is available elsewhere as well, where there's no Krishna looking at them, so they find themselves in the material world. And then what happens is, till you develop this strong desire that I cannot do without, Radha Krishna, you'll stay here. And that's why devotional service seems easy, but the destination is not reached by everybody, the Golok one. You're dreaming if you're thinking if you do a few rounds and you're going to go there. You need strong desire to be back.
Very well, Daddy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I sent you the video, and Ragi sent me. One of Srila Prabhupada's disciples was sitting in Radha Damodar temple with him, and Srila Prabhupada said to that person that when I came down from the spiritual world, I said to Krishna, I'll only come down if you guarantee that those of my disciples that sincerely serve Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, you will take them back to the spiritual world. Otherwise, it's like I said, it's incredibly impossible to go back. And that's why they say Srila Prabhupada was saying, just hold on to my dhoti and I will take you. Srila Prabhupada saying that because he said that Krishna gave him, when coming out from spiritual, Krishna gave him that promise that if his disciples sincerely followed Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, because of Srila Prabhupada's mercy, he'll take them back. Otherwise, it's extreme. Because I was reading in Srimad Bhagavatam, so Kardam Muni, Kardam and Devhuti that had Kapil Dev as their son.
Yeah.
So Kardam Muni himself, careful, you're very, very close. Kardam Muni himself already had done tapasya and got darshan of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu already appeared to him.
Yes.
And he had asked for a Dharmapatni. And then after Kapil Dev even personally got born in his family, then he left to go to take sannyas.
Yes.
He still had to execute devotional service perfectly and renounce all material attachment to family and all material things. And Srila Prabhupada writes, only then was he eligible to go back to the spiritual world. And Srila Prabhupada writes, this is the ultimate path of bhakti, that you have to be completely devoid of every material attachment, all that kind of stuff, in order to get back. So it shows that if you've achieved that level of detachment from material attractions, you're not gonna experience that again when you go into the spiritual world. Because to get there, you have to have gotten rid of it.
Yeah, yeah. And then nirman moha, jitasanga dosha. Nirman means false prestige. Prestige is there, but not false prestige based on the body, because body is an instrument. You know, so because we identify with the body as the Atma, that's why we stay here. But when you identify the soul as the Atma, and then there's no false prestige. He says that those who are free from false prestige, illusion, that's more, and false association, that people who are also body conscious, you're associating with them. Who understand the eternal, that's the qualification, we understand. Who are done with material lust, who are freed from dualities of happiness and distress. Even happiness and distress to do with the body, not the soul. And who, unbewildered, you have to be very, very sober, dhira, know how to surrender. You see, the surrender is the key thing. Unto the Supreme Person, attain that eternal kingdom. So here's the qualification, and the number 6 is telling you what the spiritual world is once you get there. So it's wonderful that Prabhupada has come down for us. And that's why I always say Prabhupada is ISKCON, and you know, we should always remember that. However the management goes and whatever, just remember it's Prabhupada and ISKCON. So if you stay in this boat, he's going to take you across like that. I think we'll move on.
One thing, yeah.
Yeah.
One of those in this verse 5, one of them, it says, who understand the eternal. Right? Who understand the eternal.
Yeah.
I've now, Akash last week asked a question, and now Vikram asked a question, and it seems to me they are mixing the eternal world and what's happening down in the material world. They're not understanding the difference.
Okay.
Chapter 8, 15 and 16 are describing this material world, and Dukhalayam Shashvatam, this material world. And especially 16 says, from the highest planet down to the lowest in the material world are places of suffering, are places of repeated birth and death. So that means highest planet means Lord Brahma's planet. Lord Brahma's planet is in this universe, this material universe. So, and in this material universe, all the way from Lord Brahma's planet down to the most hellish planet, there is repeated birth and death going on, and the material modes are acting here. Beyond Lord Brahma's planet, we hit the shell of this universe, and beyond that shell, we encounter this spiritual river called Vaitarani River, and beyond that is Vaikunt. And in Vaikunt,
that's Virja River, right?
Virja, yes.
Sorry, what did it say?
It's Virja.
Sorry, Virja. Sorry,
River.
My mistake. Yeah, Vaitarani is the hellish.
Hell, yeah, yes.
My mistake. Thank you for correction. Yes.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm going to make you understand that there is a spiritual river, and it's guiding the spiritual world where there is no material modes. Everything is Satchidanand, but in the material world is where we are, and we sometimes associate our experiences and we transfer them into the spiritual world. You know, a lot of devotees get into problems when they do that. Please understand the difference between the spiritual world and the material world.
Okay, let's move on.
Moving on further, Mamaivansho jivaloke jivabhutah sanatanaha manashashtani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. Translation, anybody wants to read?
I can do that. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include the mind.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. So this verse is one of the important verse as it discusses the identity of the living entity. So Krishna says that we are his eternally fragmented in both conditioned and liberated state. So this statement, it directly refutes Mayavad philosophy. To further digest this, let me briefly discuss about the Mayavad philosophy. So the Mayavad or Advaita Vedanta, they have this primary statement, the Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya Jiva Brahma Eva Na Apara, which means that there is one supreme absolute truth, uh, but the Jagat is Mithya, like which is the creation is false or illusion. The next one, the Jiva Brahma Eva Na Apara, this is something which is debatable and which the Vaishnavacharyas don't accept. So it means that the living entity and the Supreme Brahman are one and the same, na apara. So what they say is that in the conditioned state, there is the difference between the living entity and the Brahman. But after the liberation, the Jivatma or the living entity becomes the Paramatma. So this is strongly, refuted by all the Vaishnavacharyas, including Srila Prabhupada ji. So in one of his discussion with a scholar called as Mishra, so like Srila Prabhupada ji used to have a very bonhomie kind of friendship with Mishra ji, but they never used to agree on the philosophy because Mishra ji was a Mayavad scholar. Mishra ji once says to Srila Prabhupada, look at the rivers. So there are so many rivers, they are gonna merge to the ocean, and we are just like the river. We after merging with the ocean, we don't have our identity. We are just like the river, and then we become one with the ocean. So just like we become one with the Brahman. To that, Srila Prabhupada says, no, we are not the river. We are like the fish in the river. You see, the fish is having its identity even when it is in the river, and then once the river goes and mixes with the ocean, it still retains its identity. So even after the liberated state,
that's incredible. That's good.
yeah, even after the liberated state, the fish is maintaining its identity. It is not getting dissolved into the water. So that was the Srila Prabhupada's way of refuting Mayavad. Uh, now due to our individuality, if you go by the second statement, due to the conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. So now that we have our own personal identity, and then that identity also comes with some amount of freedom or the free will. If we use that freedom in the service of the Lord, then one can get liberated. And if it is misused, then again we are getting bound, and then we are trying to become atmaha, like atmaha. What I think we had this word in the Ishopanishad, killer of the soul. So if we misuse our free will, then we often become atmaha. We degrade our body. And then to this Keshav Maharaj, he gives a very interesting statement. The extent of one's free will diminishes if it is misused. So we have certain amount of free will, and then if we don't use it for the pious activities or like for the Krishna consciousness activity, then our progressive bandwidth keep on reducing, and then we end up in a situation where we don't have any option apart from being forced. All our free will would be taken away. So we should be very careful on how we actually like use our free will. So, and furthermore, like if we try to make our free will with a mind in goodness, with a mode of goodness, then activities are considered to be good. And then if we try to do it in the passion, then the activities are sometimes troublesome. And if it is in ignorance, then we easily become traveling to the lower species of the life.
Prabhu, when you're telling about this Mayavad, it just struck me something. Those who are, after the realization, they become one with the Supreme, it is told in the Mayavad. Now, I was just thinking of somebody like Hitler, who did so many murders. And then, and after some time, if he realizes, if he gets the realization, he'll become one with the Lord without being punished, is it? Is this what they say? There's no punishment for bad actions then?
So that punishment for no bad action is in the Shunyavad, Vaidism, not in the Mayavad, I guess, Prabhuji.
Mayavad, there's no punishment.
No, Mayavad actually, as I understand, like what it says is that there is a Paramatma. He has come under the influence of Maya, and then there is some vikar into him, and he has become a Jivatma, and he is engulfed by avidya. So he doesn't know who he is. He has lost his existence, and the more he does meditation, and then he does the self recovery, and becomes desireless, then he becomes one with the Brahman. They keep chanting this, Chidananda Rupam Shivoham Shivoham, like.
But then they also have rebirth.
Yes, they also have the rebirth.
Prabhu, in the scriptures, it is described that if one kills a cow, then you will be suffering for as many lifetimes as the hairs on that cow in hellish planets. That's karma. Even Hitler cannot avoid karma.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So there's rebirth. Yeah, they suffer because of
nobody
rebirth.
can avoid karma
Yes.
until your consciousness changes towards improving your life.
Yes.
And that doesn't come so quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, so they believe in rebirth. That's all. Okay.
Yes.
Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't
Yes.
matter. But it is a science of
Yes.
It's a science. Birth and
Yes.
death is a science explained by the Vedas.
Yes. Yes. Yes, Prabhuji, the karma definitely exists. The only philosophy which don't believe in karma is Voidism or the Buddhism. We will discuss it in a while. So they say that, okay, you can do whatever nonsense you want. You are not bound by karma. At the end, everything becomes reset. So like, everything becomes shunya, everything becomes void. So
Right.
yeah, so that's pretty absurd. One is not responsible for one's own action. So so it's pretty absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Just
the
don't
important
decide.
point to note there is for both of them, there's a philosophical understanding. They have a philosophical understanding there. But but karma still acts.
Yes.
Whether they believe it or not, karma still acts.
Sorry, Prabhu, can you please repeat the last statement?
The two Shunyavadis and the Mayavadis,
Mm-hmm.
they have a philosophical understanding of the nature of what's the eternal nature. One says there's nothing. One is saying everything is one. Okay, that's the philosophical understanding. That's what they're pursuing. But in their actions, while they're in this material world, karma still acts. Whatever they believe in, karma cannot be avoided.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
So they also believe in karma cycle, basically rebirth.
Yeah, the Buddhists believe in it.
Yes.
They say, but the soul is not eternal. You are born again and again till you achieve nirvana.
Yes.
That's what they say. Mayavadi, they believe the soul is eternal, but it's because it's avidya, that's why it's suffering here. Once they get vidya, they Namo Narayan. They also, no, Namo Narayan. So that's what they do. Mayavadi, they call it
Shivogam.
Vriddha Narayan, poor Narayan. And so Prabhupada sort of said that's wrong. And Shunyavadi is the Buddhist, they are wrong as well. And the real one is we are eternal. And this is the statement. Krishna goes, they're my eternal fragmental parts. And as Vikram Prabhu said, both in the spiritual world, they're fragment part, and in the material world, they're fragment part. But the ones in the material world, their mind, they're struggling with the six senses, which include the mind. But in the spiritual world, you won't have the same mind as here. This is a material mind. Over there, your chit, such knowledge is with your soul. You don't have a separate mind. Here, we are given the mind, which is material. That's why we are shackled by this mind. And that's why Mandir and Hey Dushtaman, a Vaishnava always swears at his mind that don't you betray me, because the mind is keeping us here. It's like a bad taxi driver. You're in the car, he won't let you out, and it keeps taking you here and there. So the mind is like that. And so we have to, give this knowledge to the mind, because the soul is already enlightened, but it's covered by the various covering. And one of them is the mind for the subtle body. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I move to the next verse. Okay. Shariram yadavapnoti yachapi utkramat ishvarah grihitvaitani sanyati vayurgandhani vashayat. Translation, somebody? Or
Pragnesh Prabhu, if we can read the translation, please.
See, this is taking time. If
Okay.
there's no volunteer to read, just somebody read. Yeah.
Okay.
We on text 8 or 9?
8.
Text 8 probably.
8. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another. As the air carries aromas, thus he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. Haribol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Text 9. Shotram chakshuh sparshanam cha rasanam granameva cha adhishthaya manaschaham vishayan upasevate. Anybody, Prabhuji? Okay.
Living entity then taking another gross body obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So this verse hints that at the mind's power to determine the living entity's future. And the next verse, it continues the thrust, like the ninth one. It explains how, determined by his thoughts, one can attain the body, his next body. So as we noticed that in the previous verse, like we have some amount of freedom, so which we can use either to upgrade our body or degrade it. Then there's a verse again in the Bhagavad-gita, Uddharet Atmanam Atmanam Natmanam Avasadaye Atmaihi Atmano Bandhu Atmaihi Ripuratmanah. So one can use his mind to upgrade his body or degrade itself, because mind can be one's best bandhu, like one's best friend. At the same time, the mind can be one's worst enemy or a ripu. So here the false claim that after, especially in the verse 18, 8, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that the false claim that after annihilation of body everything is finished is refuted. So like we were talking about the Shunyavad philosophy. So usually in Buddhist philosophy, they believe in Shunyavad or voidism, which means that everything resets after the death. So one need not.
I don't think that's right, Prabhu. Because I've read it, it just, they believe in the soul, but it's not eternal. And it keeps taking birth again and again. And finally, they get nirvana, the ones who realize this concept. It's not that everybody, reaches nirvana. It's higher consciousness, according to them. Cosmos, be part of the cosmos. So they because I read it, they believe in the soul, but the soul is not eternal. But they don't believe in God.
Then how rebirth can take place? Somebody has to monitor, isn't it? There's no God.
Rebirth does take place, but they say soul is not eternal.
No, I understand, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Who is doing it? Somebody has to guide the rebirth, isn't it? In our case, we have Yamaraj and all those things, right? Here, they don't believe in any of the divine beings.
Demigods.
Yeah, demigods, yes.
Yeah.
So, the Chitragupta and all that, they don't believe. So, somebody has to guide the soul to take the next birth, isn't it?
To them, it's all about consciousness. So, if you have a base consciousness, you're going to be born again a little bit higher and higher and higher, but you've got to be aiming for that. But if you maintain like animalistic thing, you stay in that realm. And eventually, then you get to the higher consciousness through meditation and all that, which is called nirvana. And so then you're part of the cosmos. So you lost your identity, which is Shunyavadi, means you lost it. Mayavadi, as Vikram Prabhu said, they even consider the incarnations as, they are in Maya. And so they come to act, to be with us and all that, which is also Mayavadi, Krishna, Aparadi.
That's a nice one. Yeah. Sorry, Prabhuji. I think my choice of words was not good. What I meant was that they are not bothered about karma. Like they believe that like karma and everything gets vanished once you are liberated. So everything
once you're liberated, but otherwise they worry about it because their 10 points of Buddhism is all about refining their activities in life.
Desires, kill the desires.
And that's why Prabhupada said some of them are eating meat. I mean, Lord Buddha didn't eat meat. I mean, he renounced quite a lot. But there are two types of Buddhists, one who are vegetarian, the other ones who eat meat. So really, what is their consciousness like that? But let's not discuss them in detail. But all I know is that they believe that you were born again only because your consciousness hasn't really reached the echelon, the higher echelon. And finally, when you do, then you become part of the cosmos and you lost yourself. But while you're here, you're being troubled. So in order to escape that, just become part of the cosmos. They don't talk about spiritual world, or God.
So no enjoyment there, actually. It becomes zero.
Well, no, zero. You merge into cosmos. Whatever is there, you become part of that. So no more independent suffering or whatever. It's a kind of a merging. But they don't discuss, they don't have details. Lord Buddha is incarnation. He did that to make them Shunyavadi. So then later on, Shankaracharya will make them into Mayavadis. And then, Ramanuja make them into Vaishnavas again, That's a Kali Yuga thing. Yeah. Okay, let's not go into all.
About this text 9, you're saying that they get a body with the eye, tongue, nose, and all that. That is according to the desire, they get a different type of nose and etc.
Desire and what they deserve. It's a combination of two.
Oh,
One
it's a
desire,
budget
what they
and
deserve. So you never lose your knowledge acquiring senses or working senses. They're always there. That's why a pig also has what you have, and the dog you have. It's just that it's differently organized. So you never see it as a punishment. It's just that you had strong desires to eat a lot without checking yourself. So the Lord says, "Okay, become a pig," but it's not punishment. Then your senses are ready to eat anything, even stool. But then later on, you ascend again. But as a human being, as Vikram Prabhu said, we can decide to upgrade ourselves. As an animal, you're on the escalator, and then when you become a human being, don't misuse it because you end up going back again. Snakes and ladders. So even becoming a demigod, you can be even Lord Brahma. But you're not going to spiritual world, but you'll have different eyes, ears, and tongues. So when Brahmaji made human beings, everybody applauded. They said, "This is the best species you made." That's top of the 8,400,000. So the eyes and nose and everything, we can use them all in the service of Krishna. Whereas all of the animals and everything, they're using it purely for sense gratification. No chance of serving Krishna. So because we start to serve with our body, there's a Siddha Day. Day means body. Siddha means perfected body. And that's why Sadhu Sant, we touch them or ask them for a Ashirvad, because now their body is actually spiritualized. So that's why the human birth is incredible. Even with ears, eyes, and all that, tongue, they chant the Holy Lord. Nose, they smell the perfume of Tulsi. Ear, they listen to the Katha. Eyes, they take in darshan of the Lord. Sense of touch, they hug Vaishnavas. And so which are grouped about the mind. So then the mind becomes, it really is transcendental as well. And that's why Mandir. And then we ascend from there. In the end, you say goodbye to your mind, your ahankar, your intelligence, all your senses. But then you have Siddha Day, perfected body, which is spiritual. And that's where you can go to the spiritual world. And the Paramatma does not accompany you. He says goodbye by the Virja Nadi. So you go as a pure spirit into the spiritual world, according to your Bhav Bhakti.
Prabhu, this, it said that you should think of Krishna's form and all that. We have a story from Ramanuja that, he said somebody was attracted by the eye of the girl. And
yes.
Yeah, right. No, I'm thinking of somebody who is blind. What form he can think of? He has never seen any.
They think Guru Sevak was saying when this near-death experience. Guru Sevak, are you there? Okay, because the blind people don't see color and form.
Yeah, nothing. They can't even. They don't know what is human.
Do know because by the hand, something they can recognize it. Yeah, you were saying this ND thing. The blind people, how do they visualize or?
Well, the thing is, when the NDs of people that are blind, when they came out of their body, they were actually able to see everything around them. And they're not using any eyes or anything like that. That's just the soul hovering above.
Yeah.
But they are actually able to see and remember and describe items that are happening around them.
Okay, that's
even
that. But you were saying they even dream in what?
Oh, they dream in audio. They dream in audio.
Yeah. In audio. But people, they feel people's noses and eyes and tell you who it is. They're able to do that. They get a shape in their mind, but it isn't like really. Even our eyes are, we don't know whether we're seeing the real thing.
What question is this related to? Sorry.
Or there's different eyes, different nose, and different things. So he was saying, how do the blind people, they won't be able to see the form, but even the Surdas was able to glorify Krishna and how beautiful he looked and everything. Hari Nangam Nanga, people try to do that because he said, I'm not looking with these eyes, I'm looking with the eyes of the soul. So, if you turn to Krishna even as a blind man or a deaf, dumb man, anything, you got a bonus. Krishna helps you. Yeah.
I think they hear the mantra. No?
Yeah, mantras they'll be able to hear and then glorify him. Yeah.
Yes.
Barha Pidam Natvar Bapu Karnyo Karna Karnam. So they'll feel excited saying those things. Yeah. Krishna Nam, Krishna Guna, Krishna Leela, Vrinda. They're all same. Okay, next.
Great.
Yeah. So one additional point on the text 8 is that here in the living entity is called as Ishwar or controller because we just have a very small amount of freedom. Yeah. And because of that, the living entity is also called as Ishwar. We should not get confused that we are like, Ishwar, the supreme Ishwar. Okay. And then in the text 9, there is a mention about the consciousness at the time of the death, like the consciousness one has created will carry him on to the next step. Next type of body. We very well know this from the example of Raja Bharat, who becomes a deer and gets the body of a deer, and then eventually he becomes Jada Bharat. And also there is a verse, like Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavam Tyajiti Ante Kalevaram Tam Tamaiveti Kaunteya Sada Tadbhav Bhavita. So especially at the time of death, one should be very much observed in the thoughts of the Supreme Personality rather than about the worldly affairs. So that's also one of the easiest way of getting detangled from the material world. So having said that, I move to the 10th verse. उत्क्रामन्तं स्थितं वापि भुञ्जानं वा गुणान्वितं विमूढानानुपश्यन्ति पश्यन्ति ज्ञानचक्षुषः. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit this body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in the knowledge can see all this. So in this verse, the day-to-day phenomenon what we come across when we do preaching is mentioned. So when we ask somebody to visit the temple or try to do the chanting and all, they will not be able to appreciate all these things. If we tell them that okay, we should become Krishna conscious, we should get rid of materialism, they cannot digest that thought because they don't have this gnana chakshusha. They are like maya apaharta gnanam, like they are covered by some illusion or some misinformation that they are here to enjoy eternally. But someone who has the gnana chakshusha, he will be able to hear from the Bhagavad-gita and other scriptures from the bona fide spiritual master, and he is considered as a real fortunate person as described in the purport. And the persons who are fooled by lust and desire, they cannot comprehend the change of bodies. So whatever we have discussed in the last 3-4 verses about the transmigration of the soul, that is sort of not palatable to the foolish guys because they are they don't have this gnana chakshusha. And then further Srila Prabhupada mentions the attitude of Krishna conscious devotees. So and then it's mentioned that the highly developed Krishna conscious devotee or the individual, they try their best to give knowledge to people in general, that we often see in our temple, like all our senior devotees and devotees, they keep helping us in elevating our understanding. And then they also know that like paradukha dukhi, like they know that this conditioned life is troublesome. They always try to walk one step extra even though the person is not at the receiving end. They, due to out of their causeless mercy, just like I think Nityananda Prabhu, like they extend their mercy to them, and then finally they help the individual to liberate themselves and go back to the spiritual world. So now then with this there comes a question, what is the cure for the ignorance? Krishna says that it's the knowledge. Only by developing the knowledge one can develop the like the eyes which are trained in knowledge so that they can understand this process, and by hearing and learning from the shastra. So lack of shastric learning can bring certain disadvantages which will be explained in the next verse by like in next subsequent verses by Amarnath Prabhuji.
Can I just make a lovely observation here? Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, he was in Vraj Bhumi somewhere, probably Vrindavan, giving a class. And some of his disciples walked in because they'd gone out to take darshan at the temples. And he asked them, "Where have you been?" He said, "Well, we went out to take darshan, Maharaj." He says, "When I am speaking, giving knowledge, you should be here listening." And then he said, "Open your ears so that you may see clearly."
Yeah.
This one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. What beautiful words. Open your ears so that you may see clearly.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Nice, bro. This one which you said, the last one you were talking about, Vikram Prabhu, that Krishna conscious people, they're going to help out of the way and all those things.
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to get anything personal, but in your experience, have you come across anybody like that?
Yes, Prabhuji. Like I have come several, I can give a lot of examples, like especially when I was in Germany, like we used to do Harinam for almost every Saturdays for the last 3-4 years. So we used to come and we used to meet a lot of unruly guys on the street. I can tell you, like we used to form a team. Like there will be kirtaniyas in the front, then beneath them, in front of them, there will be matajis. They'll be dancing, and then in the last flank we will be singing, the chorus singers, and then also on the left flank there will be book distributors, and the right flank there will be card distributors. So Matajis, they will be distributing the prasadam. We have seen guys, like who take the prasadam and then they eat and then throw back to them. But despite that, we still go them and approach them politely. And then we try to, ask them why are they good or fine. And then sometimes it happens that some of them, they often end up in coming to the temple. So this is only possible because of the causeless extended mercy of the devotees. And we usually don't entertain people who are typically the typical practice is like we don't entertain intoxicated people to come nearby us, but we also used to let certain such guys to join us in Harinam, so that only thing is they at least they can chant something, at least they can chant Hare Krishna Hare Rama, and eventually some or the other day they when they their mind becomes mature, they will realize that they have done some mistake and then they can come back to the moment. So there are several examples, Prabhuji, I can give, like, and in we used to have this King's Day Harinam. If you go to King's Day Harinam, which was initiated by Kadam Kanan Maharaj, he is from Amsterdam. So Amsterdam is a city which is known for legalizing almost everything, drugs, prostitution, everything, on especially on the King's Day. This everything is done openly in the street. But despite that, due to the mercy of the Maharaj, we are the entire the German country and major ISKCON temples, they form a group and then they go and preach Harinam. They keep opposing. They get a lot of lot of disrespects. Lot of people, they'll throw tissue rolls on them. Despite that, they never stop. And on that, and then one example I remember is that of Guru Sevak Prabhu. Like when we were trying to conclude the Jagannath Rath Yatra in our temple in Coventry, like some stupid fellow, I think he misbehaved with, or he threw something on the Guru Sevak Prabhu. Despite that, he continued his kirtan and he just he was trying to distribute the Harinam. Yeah. So devotees always, like pure devotees, they always try to walk that extra mile, so that their only objective is that every person is a suffering soul here. So they don't want to bring their interpersonal attitude or egos in as a barrier in their preaching. So they always try to walk that extra mile.
No, Prabhu, you were telling about group and so I was talking about personally. Did somebody help? That's all. You.
Yes, Prabhuji. I mean, if you go to in the previous temples, we used to have Sachinandan Prabhu. In fact, it will be delayed, but the first book which I got from the which I read was the Nectar of Devotion. Like I was doing my research, Prabhuji, and then I used to go every now and then to the temple. And then one day Sachinandan Prabhu, he gave me a book, Nectar of Devotion, because in the bookshelf there were only Russian books. There were no English books. The only English book was the Nectar of Devotion. So he gave me and he asked me to read. I started reading few of the pages, and then I got interested in reading the book. And then it took me 3 months to read. And because of his mercy only, I started reading the Bhagavatam and started going to the temple regularly and attending Harinam, attending book distribution and all those things. Yeah. So.
Okay, Professor.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Any other questions? Yeah.
There's one question in the chat box. I'll just read out the question. This is from Hetvi Chauhan. The question is, in our day-to-day activities, the decision that we take are not always right or correct. How can I come to know that Thakurji is angry or sad, or not angry, sad with me? I'm always afraid to lose our Lord Radha Krishna. Please guide me.
Maybe Haridas Prabhuji can add to this.
I mean, you're the speaker, try.
Okay. I have one answer from the Indresh Maharaj. So we often see that like whenever we are doing our devotional services, we might see that there are some bad omen happening. The diya becomes shant and some plate gets fall. Then Indresh Maharaj, he says that it is nothing but Krishna is trying to play with you. So only thing is we have to humbly ask him like, is there anything missing from their side? And then you have to promise him that okay, he will fix it. We will fix it, and then maybe it will help in solving the problem. And then the next example is once Indresh Maharaj, he went outside to give some Bhagavad Katha, and then he was facing a lot of, he was not in a state of mind that to eat properly, and then he realized that whatever Thakurji was carrying was not getting proper bhoga. Then he told to the deities that once I go back to Vrindavan, I'll take care of your Pancha Pakwan, but for time being, please bear with me and please support me in giving this katha. And after his prayers, he started feeling good, and then he was able to do the katha. So that's what I can think of at this moment. Prabhuji, maybe if you could please add something.
The main thing is, this is where the classic one is, association with devotees will tell you how to conduct yourself.
Sadhu Shastra Sangha, yeah, okay.
Sadhu Shastra, and if you don't have spiritual master yet, devotee association is very important. And then reading Bhagavad-gita, which talks about more of goodness, more of passion, more of ignorance. And your conscience will tell you when you are not doing the right thing. And Paramatma will tell you like that. So I think in our day-to-day activities, the decisions that we take are not always right or correct. Who decides that it's not right or correct? If you end up making a mistake, just realize it wasn't correct. But if it's progressing towards your bhakti, realize that's anukulasya. Otherwise, pratikul. Whatever the scripture said do, if you do that, you're always right. But if you do opposite to what the scripture is saying, it's going to be wrong anyway. So there's anukul and there's pratikul. So you have to decide, how would you decide which is pratikul or which is anukul? Which is, you read the scriptures and associate with devotees. So that's why we follow the 4 principles: no meat eating, no fish, no eggs, and no alcohol, and no illicit sex, and no gambling. Those are the, if you don't do that, you're in safe ground. Then comes the bhav, how you're dealing with the Lordship every day. But then there's a social commitment in your life, and at work, there's another commitment at work. So you're dealing with different people with different mindset. So then you have to be intelligent to think, okay, here, this is social. So in there, the social norms apply. They will judge me whether I'm right or wrong. But when you're doing your bhakti, you have to refer to the scriptures and the association of devotees. And then you're doing the right thing, offering bhoga to the Lordship, putting them to bed in the morning, doing abhishek, things like that. And then you progress on that one. And your heart will be happy when it's right. But if it was said, if you're doing bhakti without knowledge and without detachment, you're going to not be happy. Just like when Narad Muni saw Bhakti Devi, she was young, but her 2 sons, Gyan and Vairagya, were old. So he inquired, who are these 2? He said, they're my children. He goes, but they look older than you. Then say, what is the solution then? So they met the four Kumaras and at Badrikashram. So then they were given the Bhagavatam. And that's where Gyan and Varag. If you don't have Gyan and Varag, you got Bhakti, but you're not happy because you haven't got the Gyan and you haven't got the Varag. So it was a good point. I only heard it this morning, but we know that anyway. So I would say association and reading the scriptures and following those principles, you'll be the right, you'll be anukul. Yeah, Jai.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yeah, I just like to add that sometimes we get a dilemma what decision to take. Whatever decision you take, it may become wrong. So one guiding principle is whichever path you take, you analyze and see which makes it more Krishna conscious friendly. For example, if you want to buy a house, you find that there are 2-3 houses, you don't know which one to buy and all those things. Then you see, which is closer to the temple. Is the ISKCON temple there nearby, which is closer, which has more scope for association, etc. You buy that house. Like that, if you do, then it's very easy to find a solution. Otherwise, you will be in a dilemma what to do. Sometimes if somebody wants to marry, they say which bride to choose. Then they say choose the one which has the Krishna conscious background, like that.
Right. If you can move on to now.
Yeah.
I think so, isn't it?
Yes, Prabhu.
Is it Amarnath Prabhu who's going to start now?
Yes.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, so far, as Vikram Prabhu was nicely explaining, it's all about, about the devotees, or how they are going to react, and about the living entity taking different bodies and all that. From the text 11, it's more about the Lord. So it is this one starts with Etento yogena shrainam pashyanti atmani avastitam etanto pikrutatmano nainam pashyante chestasaha. Anybody can translate now.
The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, but those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try.
Yeah, so here the thing is, if you should have a background to understand anything. Unless you have the basics, you will not understand this. This we can see even in even mundane subjects. If you don't, for example, if you are in year 10, for example, unless you know and you're good in year 9, you can never do well in year 10. So you need a background to understand that. So here it says that if you have a self-realization, then they can see. Then the minds are developed and they can see the truth. The next one is about Yada Dityagajam Tejo Jagat Basayate Kilam Echandramasi Yachakno Tattejo Vitti Mamakam.
Translation.
Translation is
The splendor of the sun which dissipates the darkness of the whole world comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me.
Yeah, here Krishna talks about the universe, and you see the sun, how bright it is, and they say, it's terrible thing which you just can't even imagine. They say that surface temperature of the sun is 6,000 degrees centigrade, and it is so huge, and it can swallow all the planets, and all the planets will just fit in just one slice of the sun. So such a huge thing. But here Krishna says the splendor and all that, the dissipation of darkness is all due to me. It is due to me that all these things happen. Comes from me means I am the source of it. You can say that I am the creator or something like that. And the splendor of the moon, of course, and the splendor of the fire are all from me. So that is, I am the source, and it's because of me that all these things are there and they operate.
Shall I go to the next one, Prabhuji?
You can go, yes.
I think before this, I just want to add a point here, Prabhuji.
Sure.
There is also one more verse earlier, Rasoham Apsu Kaunteya Prabhasmi Shashi Surayoho, where Krishna says that he is responsible for the this shine of the sun, and also he is also responsible for the splendor of the moon. So this is kind of a repetition again here. Yeah.
Where from?
It's
Which
in the older chapters, like I am the taste of water, I am the shine.
yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Gama, next one, text 13. Gama Vishyacha Bhutani Dharayami Ahamojasa Pushnami Chausadim Sarva Somo Putva Rasatmaka.
I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables.
Yes, this Krishna explained, this is something like a bit of astrophysics, where we imagine how people wonder how all the planets are, they don't go and dash with each other or create havoc. They are there for millions of years. They don't swerve away from their orbit. They do it so nicely. They don't take any holidays. They don't have a Sunday off or things like that. They work non-stop. So he says that because he enters into the planet, and because of his energy, they stay in orbit, perfect orbit, with no perturbations, unless there are some little bit perturbations at the end of the life of that system. Then there is annihilation, and then another system is created. But till then, they keep rotating and revolving around the sun, around that sun and that star. The other interesting thing here is, I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. So earlier also he said about the moon. Here he's again explaining about the moon. We all think that sun is the main source of all life and all that. It's all correct. But the moon also has a vital part to play, because here he says it supplies the juice of life to all vegetables. It is seen that, even from Ayurveda, it is said that, certain vegetables and um, uh, or herbs or leaves which are to be plucked, they should be plucked only in certain times, in the lunar cycle. So they give importance to that. That means there's something related to uh, the moon giving certain juices or making the plant absorb certain elements from the atmosphere, maybe. This is often ignored. We find that, some of the vegetables in the other Western world, they're not so tasty. We find it's not so tasty as those in the tropical world, because most of the time the moon is not visible in the Western countries. So maybe I think that it is because they don't have the lunar juice being supplied to those vegetables. That's why they lack the taste which we can find in tropical vegetables. Any thoughts on this, please?
Prabhuji, some thoughts, like actually, maybe I'll add after 2 verses. Maybe you can complete this so that I can just give this. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Text 14. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deha Mashrutaha Prana Pana Samayakta Prasamyannan Chadurvidam.
I'm the fire. Sorry, go ahead, Prabhuji.
Continue translation.
I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the 4 kinds of foodstuff.
Yeah, here it's all very interesting. It is all describing about the digestive system of living entities, not only humans. He says, we have, see, any living entity is not cold. There is a temperature there. There is warmth in it. So how can you have warmth? You can have warmth only when there is fire. Fire only can produce warmth. So here, although there's only chemical reaction taking place inside the stomach, the digestion, that C plus O2, CO2, that releases the heat. But that is actually a form of fire, or combustion, rather. So this combustion is taking place in the stomach. So he says that this is responsible for the digestion. And this combustion is caused by the bile juice in the stomach. The bile juice, the bile which is secreted by the liver, is responsible for digesting the food. That's why the liver, people who have liver failure, they can't digest food. this digestion, this is true for all living entities. And he also joins the air of life. Of course, the air is needed for the combustion to take place. So he's also responsible for the air of life, both outgoing and incoming. That is why, they link this. You can do it better. You can digest food better if you do the pranayama, where it, you adjust the outgoing and incoming prana or air. And there are 4 kinds of food stuff, which Prabhupada says. There are 4 kinds of food stuff, which many we don't think on those lines. They are says that some are drunk, some are chewed, some are licked up, and some are sucked. This is what Prabhupada says. Like, if you are going to, some are chewed means which are very solid, and you have to bite, and like nuts or things like that. Or the other one is some are drunk, like milk and other liquids. Some you have to lick it up. Like the best way of consuming honey is to lick it. It's not that you can just stir it and drink. The best way is to, and even payasam, which they give in food, at the end of the food they give you payasam, that has to be licked up basically. So all these this type of so he helps, or he makes sure that these 4 kinds of foodstuff are digested properly by supplying the fire in the stomach of the entities. Going to text 15.
Hold on, before you go there.
Yes, Prabhupada.
Just saying something common here.
Yes.
If you go to 15:12.
Yeah.
Right, in there it goes, the splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of the whole world, comes from me. So he's organizing that. And the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire. See, the fire in here, splendor of fire are also from me. It means he's organizing that. If you go to the next verse, it talks about the moon thereby supply the juice of life of all vegetables. So the juice of life there. So there's fire mentioned in the 12.
Yes.
Juice of life mentioned there. And then the 14th is linked that I am the fire of digestion as well, which means the splendor of fire there and the digestion.
Right.
And the air, which is mentioned, and he says to digest the 4 kinds of stuff, which means that actually when you have indigestion, it means you're atheistic. Meaning the Lord is not digesting your food there, because he is, and that's why many mantras actually cure many diseases. And if your stomach is not healthy, most of the diseases come from there of the body, because the digestion has to be perfect. So please, 12, 13, and 14 is all about digesting food, and the Lord giving the juice of life to vegetables, and then it's the splendor of fire. So I've never seen it before, but I just saw the link there. It's all to do with our digestion. And then let's see what 15 talks about.
Yes, Prabhupada. No, I'm just thinking whether the fire of, when he says fire of digestion, is something metaphorical, I think, because there's no fire in it.
No, it's Agni. It's got a name, Vikram.
Yeah, but is it a real fire? It's not a fire inside. Otherwise, it will burn.
No, I mean with flames and all that, but the heat is there, nah.
They're just the heat.
But the Lord can do that. Fire. It didn't say flames. It's still fire.
It's the acidic nature of the stomach.
Yes, that's what. That bile juice.
That is heat there. Several types of fires, actually. The Yagya one is a different fire. And so the Lord knows. The
7 types described in the scriptures, 7 types of fire. They're not necessarily with flames.
Flames and all that, but hot.
But there's heat there.
Yeah. When they say the Indian army guy was describing, when they're in the Himalayas or something, when the enemy is there, it's so cold, they say we shoot the enemy, we cut them up and wrap their bodies around us to get the heat. That's how they survive it. I was thinking, my God, that's ghastly. But that's what they do with animals as well. They'll shoot the animal, they split it open and go inside and keep them warm for the day and survive them like that. So this heat or the fire, so vrika is the fire of digestion. If you don't have it, that's when you get this indigestions and problems and things. That's why ginger is very good for that. and a few others. It helps fire. I just saw the link there that the moon is used for the life, for the use of life for vegetables, and then the digestion is also arranged by the Lordship. Brilliant. Yeah.
This moon thing is really fascinating, because we thought of this chlorophyll, and that's how the green plants do that. But there's something which the moon supplies, which is also giving life energy to the vegetables and taste and things like that.
Well, that's what Krishna is saying. I support.
Okay.
Okay, next.
Text 15.
Yeah, and then I'll add some point, Prabhuji.
Yep, sir. Next one. Oh, you're talking?
No, you complete the 15th verse, and then I'll add some points, Prabhuji.
Sure. Sarvasya saham hridusannivishto madasmrtagyanam apohanam cha vedaisya sarvairahameva vedyo vedanta krut vedavashaham. Translation. Anybody?
I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas.
So here Krishna nicely says what's the connection between the living entity and him. He clearly says he is situated in everyone's heart. And because of that only, we get the knowledge, how we learn, how we think, how we remember. And also, incidentally, he says even the forgetfulness comes from him. So here, forgetfulness is generally considered something not good. But, it is actually, in many cases, it is very much needed. For example, if you have to forget if you had a very bad past experience, if you keep on remembering it, then the present will be a hell. So in that case, it is very much needed that you forget things. The mind has to forget traumatic incidents in your past, and extending this, this also helps in a very good way. That's why we forget our past life. Just imagine if you're going to remember all your past lives, it will be a terrible place. The present life, because you may be seeing somebody, who did not return a loan or something like that. You may see him, if you remember, and he's there. You may go and attack him, right? So like that, you will feel. So even now in the present life, if you have enemies, then you feel there's a lot of problems. So imagine if you remember all the enemies in the previous life will be a real hell. So this forgetfulness is indeed a blessing. So Krishna is helping in that by providing the forgetfulness. And then by all the Vedas, I am to be known. So it is the Vedas which seek. The Vedas are trying to realize him, to know him. So, and then he says, he is also the compiler of the Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. So here I have a question for myself. He's compiler of the Vedanta, but so he's compiler of the Vedas also, I think. He says, I am the knower of the Vedas.
Krishna, when Brahma did his meditation, Vedic knowledge came through Krishna's flute and entered Brahma's ears, and through his ears into his heart. Vedic knowledge originally descends from the spiritual world into this material world.
Okay, then he says he's a compiler of the Vedanta.
Yes, Vyasadeva wrote the Vedanta Sutra as before Bhagavatam. He wrote Vedanta Sutra as his penultimate scripture. Then the commentary on the Vedanta was Bhagavatam. So Vyasadeva is also classed as a literary incarnation of Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
An empowered incarnation. Sure.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Vikram Prabhu wanted to tell something.
Yes, Prabhuji. So if we observe the last 5 verses, So
Yes.
like we started off with discussing the material world, and then we started off discussing with the spiritual world, and then Krishna says that we should enter the spiritual world, and then he says that if we don't enter, then we will be doing transmigration, and then he gives certain example. Now there comes a question like what happens to the materialists who think that they can enjoy. Okay, now here with the last few verses, Krishna says that even the enjoyment is also made possible only by Krishna, because he is the ultimate maintainer. He is responsible for the taste of the food. He is responsible
Uh,
for its digestion. He is giving the sunlight. He is giving the moonlight, everything which is required for even the material people also. So the main background is that these verses, they help us to contemplate how even sense enjoyment is impossible without the help of the Lord. And one can develop his Krishna consciousness by appreciating Krishna as the maintainer of this phenomenal world. So that's what emerges out from the last few verses. Now talking about this 15th verse, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha
yes.
Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyo vedantakrit vedavideva chaham. So out of this, the third line, Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyo, that is pretty much important from a Vaishnava philosophic perspective, because like if we try to understand the Vedas, like just to give some example, like if you start reading the Rig Vedas, only this Vedas they should be read only after proper guidance from the Guru Maharaj. So but if somebody starts to read Rig Veda, it starts with Agni Sukta, and then it is described that Agni has two heads, every head has got seven tongues, and Agni can dissolve everything very quickly. And then after reading the Agni Sukta, they will mention some benefits for the Agni Sukta, and then if somebody is a amateur, he might conclude that Agni is the supreme personality of Godhead, and then starts with the Varuna Sukta, Vayu Sukta, Indra, and all those things. And so the nature of the Vedas is that it doesn't sometimes becomes clear that who is the supreme personality of the Godhead. So Krishna here clearly says that Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyo, means all the Vedas, they point out towards me. I am the person to be known from the Veda, and it's not the Agni, Chandra, Indra, and other demigods. So I am the main सारे वेदों से प्रतिपादित भगवान मैं ही हूँ. This is what Krishna wants to say. And this particular statement is also, you can find it in the bhashyas of various acharyas, like in the Brahma Sutra Bhashya by Madhvacharya and also Sri Bhashya by Ramanujacharya. So
Yes.
they use this to refute the other claims, like somebody says that Lord Shiva is, supreme. So to counter that, we have this Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam, and then 7.7 verse, like, Mattah Paratarha Nanyat Kinchit Asti Dhananjayah. And then this verse, Vedaischa Sarvai Rahame Vedyo. So these are some of the important verses which is, used as weapons or the tools by our acharyas
There's
against
one in the Bhagavatam, Vasudeva para Veda, Vasudeva para Makha, Vasudeva para Yoga, Vasudeva para Kriyaha, Vasudeva param Jnanam, Vasudeva para Tapaha, Vasudeva paro Dharmo, Vasudeva para Gatahi. So all these are Vasudeva, 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 whatever we are trying to, even that one endorses that Vasudeva is the one. Yeah, Krishna. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
Good.
Yeah, so
So,
this,
this, in the Veda, they talk about Krishna, Indra, Chandra, Agni, and all those. Is the name of Krishna mentioned in the Vedas alone?
Brahman, it comes as a Brahman, Prabhu. I'm not an expert, but what I heard from the senior devotees, like, so it's like Brahman or Atman, something like that. They have this.
Brahman means that's common, isn't it? It doesn't
Yeah.
have, even
So
Shiva is called Brahman.
it depends on their interpretation, how they are interpreting it. So that's
Atato Brahma, Jignasi and all that, right?
and that's a deep topic, Prabhuji. I'm not competent to talk on that. I just know some like a parrot,
There are 18 Purans written by Vyasadeva, and people in the material world are in different, under the grips of different modes of nature, Satagun, Rajagun, Tamagun. So depending which is a prominent mode in them, there are different Purans for them. So some of the Purans are for those who are in the mode of ignorance, some are for those who are in the mode of passion, Rajagun, and some of those who are in the mode of goodness. So it's not a one size fits all. Yes, they've allowed for progression, spiritual progression, wherever a person is situated in the material world.
Yes.
So the thing is,
it may appear.
when you put the Bhagavatam after that, he didn't write anymore.
Oh.
That's the last one. He realized he's described everything.
Okay, we go to 16 text. Vimau Purushau Loke Kshara Evacha Kshara Sarvani Bhutani Gudasto Kshara Uchyate.
There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible.
Yeah, here, the people who are, he classifies people into under two categories. One is fallible, that is,
they can fall.
Pardon?
They can fall.
Yeah, they descend. They are not able to withstand the what do you call, the trauma of life and come up in life, etc. And they are non-spiritual basically. And in the material world, that is the material world, every living entity is fallible. He says every living entity in the material world, that is where we live, is fallible. And in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. So they have the proper senses in the spiritual world, and that's what they don't descend to the material world as we discussed before. So he's just reiterating that, this material world is a place where you have to fall. There is no escape. And even if you don't fall, one day the material world itself falls. It gets dissolved, and it's temporary, So,
I'm just looking at the purport. Prabhupada actually says, of course, in the spiritual world, there's no such thing as creation. But since the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as stated in the Vedanta Sutra, is the source of all emanations, that conception is explained. So it's interesting that in the spiritual world, they don't talk about creation. It's there. It's just there. But it's the material world which it goes to sleep, and then it comes up again, and then manifests, and then goes away again. But in the spiritual world, it's eternal. It just stays as it is.
Yeah, it says in the spiritual world, there is no, it's not made of matter, and therefore there is no change. But in the material world, you'll find that every day our body changes. They say that 70 cells are get destroyed, it seems, every day, and new cells are born. So every day there is a change, but we don't realize it. You only realize it, you look at your picture after 5 years, you'll know, is that me on the photo? We say that. So that's how drastic the change is. But in the case of the spiritual world, since it is not material, it is constant. It's just a straight graph.
Well, I wouldn't say constant, because
no change rather.
Every living entity can expand into 9 to 10 forms, whereas the Lord can manifest into many, many forms. So, but the thing is, there's no material. This Mahat Tattva isn't there, and the time isn't there, and the gunas, the gunati. So the form is there, but it's all spiritual. Swarup Siddhi, as we say. Chit Shakti. Chit Shakti is much more numerous than this Maya Shakti. It's like a prison house, only has limited facilities, whereas the country itself has many, many facilities. So we tend to think the spiritual world will be like Nirguna. It'll be all steady, nothing happening, no people having, exchanges or differences, whatever. They still do, but it's all spiritual. There's no time on it and whatever, and that's what they call them, Trikala Gaya. They can see the past, the present, and the future. So many people in this world can see the past.
Very well, Billy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So just a little, maybe not about correction or whatever, but in the spiritual world, there is matter there, but it's spiritual matter. Because I asked Pundrik Maharaj this once. I said, what's Krishna's body made out of? Because Krishna has a form. Yeah. And he said very simply, Sat, Chid, and Anand. Because there's a shaloka, Satchidananda Rupaya Vishvotpatti Adi Hetave. So Krishna's body is made out of Sat, Chid, and Anand. And so the spiritual world is made out of
So is
Satchidanand.
ours when we go there. That's why
Yeah.
also Satchitanand. And what I'm saying is the form-wise and whatever, it's not static. And like I said, there's desire trees, Kamdenu cows, there's a lot of activity. And Prabhupada, I heard it this morning, he said many people, to them, mukti means that you die and no activity. He said, that's not understanding mukti. He said, devotees can get mukti in 5 seconds. Jivara Sarup Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. He said, as soon as you understand, I'm the servant of Krishna, you got mukti. Mukti means more activity now. Whereas other people see moksha, meaning no more like suffering and whatever like that. Whereas real mukti, Prabhupada said, within 5 seconds, that you commit that I'm the servant of Krishna. And that's why I thought it was a very nice explanation. And Prabhupada said after moksha, there is no, understand that there's no activity, that's rascal. He said there's load more activity. Now your body is not limited by the body you have. It's spiritual. You're able to satisfy the Lord. I mean, look at Kardama Muni. He entered, what's his wife's name? Devhuti. He went into 9 and entered her, and the 9 daughters came out. So he could do it here. So the max is for living into 9 expansions. So really, we don't know what the spiritual world can do. So we shouldn't, it's achintya. So don't even think about it. And as Vidya Prabhu said, don't equate what's happening in the material world and then you reverse it or make it opposite to the spiritual world like that. You're just guessing. The smell, the buzzing, there's this bees there. When Krishna went in garland, there's bumblebees actually doing shlokas, what the Vedas are. We don't know. We're getting this information. Just realize, don't limit yourself on what spiritual world is through your experiences, anubhuti of this world there. 2 plus 2 will be like -5 or something like that in your thing. Just leave it to Krishna. When you're there, just realize, achintya, numerous shaktis, numerous rasas, numerous pastimes, interactions and all that. It'll blow your mind.
Yeah, just as we fly from London to New Delhi, there you can go from planet to planet.
Well, they can personally be there. They can just appear somewhere, manifest and unmanifest. I know people on this earth could do that. My father met someone, and they asked one person in Kenya, "Why are you upset?" He goes, "My father's not well, but I don't know the news." He said, "I'll go see him." He said, "How are you going to do that? Ships take 7 days." I said, "Don't worry." Next day he came and he goes, "I met your dad. He's better now." He says, "How do I know you saw him?" He said, "Write to him saying a man who came with this kurta and whatever color, whatever, he gave you a message of his son and all that. Did he come and see you and ask you how it is?" So he wrote to him, and then a couple of weeks later got the answer, "Yes, a man came and he asked me, he said, you send him, and he gave this message." And my father said we were surprised. He could travel across the continent without the aeroplane, but then we just had the ships there. So even some people have siddhis in this earth. And Uddhav Gita, Krishna says how you can get those siddhis to Uddhav. So please, we are like a frog in the well. We're trying to measure the Pacific. So I think we'll be wasting our time.
Yeah, but one thing is, is there any growth or something? A baby, there's no birth. So they're always at the same age.
They can change the form. Okay. But Krishna taking birth doesn't happen there because he's Nav Yovan.
No, not Krishna.
He's Nav Yovan. So when he comes here, he orders others to be born as well. You be born there, you be born there. And just like Jay and Vijay, they were born as well. So they get the chance to be born. Otherwise, they're not born. They're there. And so Krishna looks forward to that. And then he's going to be murdered by Yashodama and other gopis and everything. And they all look forward to coming here. Planet Earth is, because of Vrindavan and all that, is glorified by the demigods. They're talking about planet Earth. Because Krishna came here and he just only visits them here and there. And Indra fought him. And, so they don't get the chance. Even Bhagavatam is here. They don't get the nectar over there. And people realize you can do bhakti easily on planet Earth. And we actually think this is a condemned planet. No way. If you're on the wrong part of the planet, yes, it's condemned. But if we are Bharat Bhumi the hoile Manushya Janam, and we should count our lucky stars with Bharat Bhumi, our heart through the 8,400,000, Bharat, and those are Brajbasis, boy, they are special again. So please realize that Krishna is looking forward to being a baby and being mothered and all that, and steal butter. It doesn't need to steal over there. People are supplying it left, right, and center. But it's Golok, there's cows there, and those cows, the grass as well. Uddhav said, I like to be grass on Braj. So the gopis, walk all over me like that. Just look at that. So even grass he knows his grass in Golok, and he wants to serve Krishna. And when Krishna was here in Vrindavan, he went barefoot, and I'm told the grass would grow immediately under his foot, so it stays tender and soft. Just imagine when Krishna there, his Golok is come here. And it was so exciting. I think we'll never finish this chapter if we carry on talking.
Yeah. Just 2-3 more verses. Okay. Uttama Purusha Tvanyaha Paramatmeti Yada Udartaha Yolo Grataya Mavasya Pribattavyaha Iswaraha.
Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the 3 worlds and is maintaining them.
Yeah, now the fallible and infallible he has described. Now is the third one is the most important, is the living personality, the Supreme Personality, the Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself. And He has entered the 3 worlds and is maintaining them. So this is nicely expressed in the Katha Upanishad and the Svetaswara Upanishad. It is clearly stated that above the innumerable living entities, some of whom are conditioned and some of whom are liberated, there is the Supreme Personality who is Paramatma. So what is mentioned here is about the Paramatma. The Upanishad verse runs as follows: Nityo Nityanam Chetanastam. Okay. So any thoughts on that? No.
This is you're finally coming to the topic of this chapter, Purushottam Yoga. Now, the next few verses, you will see the word Purush, and here it is Uttam Purush. There are many Purushas, but this is the highest.
Uttama Purusha.
Purush. Uttam Purush. Now, very cleverly, if you notice, we started with the material world being a reflection of the spiritual world, and there's this tree of entanglement. We're all entangled in it. Then the different conditions of our living entities while we're in this world. But then slowly the Lord started describing higher and higher things. And now He's talking about Himself, the highest.
Also,
that's the beauty of this.
Uttama Purushas. And then in the 19th, they'll say Purushottama.
Yeah.
So there's difference. Uttam Purusha is Paramatma. Then Purushottama is Lord Jagannath. And that's why, Krishna. So even the Paramatma is not the highest, Krishna is. But here it be Uttam Purusha. And Prabhupada says the Supreme Personality of God is situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. So that's Uttam Purusha. Then Purushottama. That's why Jagannath is called Purushottam. There is Purusha of the Uttam, the highest. So all the words, because I read it before by someone, I thought it seems the same, but there is difference. The Paramatma is Uttam Purush, and then Jagannath is Purushottam. Anyway, that's it.
Yeah, next one.
And Prabhuji, one more point. This 17th verse, it again directly refutes the Mayavad. If you look at the 16th verse, there is a classification of 2 beings. So in 17th, Krishna is not considered as fallible or infallible. So he's a separate entity, which is again, refutes the Mayavad.
Yes.
Yeah, but which means Krishna is never infallible, you see.
Yeah, exactly.
He's above that. He's above those two.
Yes.
He's never in a situation like that. So then that defeats the Mayavadis.
Mayavadi says all are one, right?
Yes.
No. But then why does he fall? Why does he become infallible then?
Infallible, yeah.
He can't become infallible because he's above the two, fallible and infallible. And so he's the greatest. Otherwise, Mayavadi said, it's Dridra Narayan. It means Narayan is now, being conditioned. which is wrong. That's Mayavadi Krishna Aparadhi. So it's an aparadh to say that, because here Krishna clearly says that Paramatma is above these two. He never comes under condition. You know, he's the creator. He's great. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Next 18. Esmaksharam aditoham aksharatapi chotamaha atosmi loke vedesha pradida purushotamaha. Here you have Purushottam.
Yeah. And the next also verse will say Purushottam.
Yes.
Because I'm transcendental beyond both the fallible, infallible. It means I transcend both the fallible and the infallible. And because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world, in the world and in the Vedas as that supreme person.
Yes.
Oh, I wonder what the purport says there, because Prabhupada will have a better comprehension of
it says no one can surpass the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, neither the conditioned soul nor the liberated soul. He is therefore the greatest of personalities. Now it is clear here that the living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are individuals. The difference is that the living entities, either in the conditioned state or in the liberated state, cannot surpass in quantity the inconceivable potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is incorrect to think of the Supreme Lord and the living entities as being on the same level or equal in all respects. There is always the question of superiority and inferiority between the personalities. The word Uttama is very significant. No one can surpass the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So again, refuting the Mayavadi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Okay, next one. Text 19. Yoma mevamasam modo janadi purushottamam sa sarva vidya majatimam sarva bhavena bharata. So whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotion, service to me, O son of Bharata. So he says that, whoever knows him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very convinced that he is the greatest, and therefore he has no doubt. And therefore he engages himself fully in full devotion and service to me.
I think if you read the first paragraph, Prabhupada really emphasizes that.
Yeah, there are many philosophical speculations about the constitutional portion of the living entities and Supreme Absolute Truth. Now, in this verse, the Supreme Personality of Godhead clearly explains that anyone who knows Lord Krishna as to be supreme actually is the knower of everything. The imperfect knower goes on simply speculating about the absolute truth. But the perfect knower, without
wasting his valuable time,
engages directly in Krishna consciousness, the devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Throughout the whole of the Gita, the fact is stressed at every step. And still there are so many stubborn commentators on Gita who consider the Supreme Absolute Truth and the living entities to be one and the same.
See, there you go. That's called preaching.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
But even the Sankaracharya is in that category, isn't it?
No, Sankaracharya was sent on a mission because Lord Buddha actually denied the Vedas. And to establish the Vedas, he said, well, it was the same as Buddhism. It's like Lord Jesus, when he went and these fishermen didn't know where to fish. He goes, cast your net over there. So they thought, who's this stranger? And then they cast the net, they got a lot of fish. And then they all went to him, how do you know all this? Because they were fishermen, he used the fisherman's language. So similarly, they were all Shunyavadis. So then the next, servant who was said to change their minds also talked the same language. But he said, Bhaj Govinda, Bhaj Govinda. And so went on. And then Ramanuja came and completely took it back again. So that Lord Buddha is because people were killing animals left, front, and center, just like they do McDonald's and all that, in the name of religion. And that's why Lord Buddha came to just say, okay, then I don't want to consider Vedas as what I follow, So this is part of the Lord's plan. It's not like it's out of hand, but Lord knows how in Kali Yuga we are going to behave. So here's the appropriate entrance. It comes down, entry point, then change the consciousness, then go back again. And that's why in Kali Yuga now, it's Hare Ranam, Hare Ranam, Hare Ranam eva kevalam, alau nasteva nasteva nasteva, gati ranyata. So even Krishna's Naam is more important. And that will make you then understand the whole of Krishna. If you don't chant, you'll be speculating.
Yes, Prabhu. The last one, I mean, this is very unique about this 15th chapter, because in all other chapters, it doesn't say, this is called a Palashruti, they call it. The benefit of reading this is mentioned at the end of that verse or poetry or anything. We find many of such verses in other hymns. And this is unique in this chapter. You don't find in other chapters telling what will happen if you read this chapter. But here he says, Idi guhyatamam sastram idam uktam mayanaga edat bhuktva bhukti manshat kruda krityasya bharata. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, this chapter 15. O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. So that is the benefit of reading this chapter. Balashruti is called it.
Yeah.
So the Lord clearly explained that.
But not just reading it,
I mean, understanding and practicing.
I've read it many times, but I haven't, known perfection really. But I think then you believe in these statements more and more, you see. And we still got a long way to go to be perfect. But if we acknowledge that Krishna is the one to be understood and not waste time with this, that, and the other, as you said in the purport, and then I think we'll be heading towards perfection. Yeah.
Yes.
Perfection is doing more devotional service with clear heart. Krishna Nitya Das, so rather than be something else.
Yeah, he says wherever devotional service exists, the material contamination cannot coexist. Devotional service to the Lord and to the Lord Himself and the Lord Himself are one. So service and Lord are one and the same, because they are spiritual. Devotional service takes place within the internal energy of the Supreme Lord. The Lord is said to be the sun, and ignorance is called darkness. Where the sun is present, there is no question of darkness. Therefore, whenever devotional service is present, under the proper guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, there is no question of ignorance.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Vikram, anything you want?
I just want to add one summary, Prabhuji. Like, just read out the summary. So to understand Purushottam Yoga, we have to be sinless. Thus, this chapter discusses breaking our material attachments and understanding Krishna as source of Brahman, as maintainer, the Paramatma, and as Bhagwan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Finally, knowing all this, one surrenders and become one with him in desire and service. That is the conclusion of all Shastra, the Yoga of Supreme Person. Hari Bol.
Jai Ho. Very nice.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you all.
Welcome.
Okay, before Manjunath concludes, I'd just like to thank both of you. Really enjoyed this, the presentation. And so did Vikram Prabhu do the presentation?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you. So, if anybody wants to help, I might come to you.
Yes, Prabhuji, sure.
Can you do this portrayal? It's lovely because I'm not very good on the computer. But I like the way it was said, so it's understandable. And then also, Amarnath Prabhu, the rest of it you explain. It's a very important chapter. And I think, although we know it, but to rediscuss it, you feel Prabhupada put in the purport of the last verse that doing Krishna consciousness with associate devotee is very important. What does it do? It strengthens the weak heart. And that's why the weak heart ends up doing sin and making mistake. And so association devotee is very important. And I think we've had association on this Zoom and on Sundays. And I think the weakness of our heart is going, because when the light comes, the darkness goes. So thank you for giving us opportunity. And I want to thank the speakers. We haven't heard you before, but you did very well. And so it's encouraging us that this initiative should continue even after the Gita. We should have some other book and all the people should present it. And there's a respect in the heart for the, otherwise we're just saying, how are you doing? Okay, how's work? Now this is more what we want to talk about, yeah. Vidya Prabhu, you want to say something? Okay.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhus.
Thank you, Prabhu.
You are, when we launched this, we had no master plan how this is going to develop. And we haven't actually put any restrictions. We're just letting each speaker or speakers come up with their own idea how they would like to do it. And we've been surprised, pleasantly surprised by so many of them. And even today, it was well done to both of you. My only little advice to Vikram ji is slow down a little bit.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
You know, I said it before to other people. I says, don't, when, you know, Bhagavad-gita and other scriptures, don't raise it, relish it.
Okay.
You understand it?
Yes, Prabhuji, yes.
Slow down, relish it. Because
yeah, but he's got quite a knowledge of shlokas.
Fantastic knowledge, but
and that's why I told you, can you sing?
Speed delivery. It's like a speedy delivery, you know, sir.
Yeah, I usually keep running, Prabhuji. I mentioned that during the start of the discourse
You
itself.
did. You are honest. Yeah.
Prabhu, you're working in IT, I think, so do it things fast.
No, Prabhuji, I'm in mechanical engineering line. But I have this habit of, whenever I'm in discussion, I start speaking fast, and then I used to get the same feedback in Germany. They used to say, we are not from UK. Can you please slow down?
Prabhu, there's one question I had here. I forgot to ask. You know, this no change in the spiritual world. Does it mean that they're all of the same age or something? They don't grow? Because
Navyovan, and they're always youthful, Navyovan.
Yeah, that's the same age, basically.
Yeah, but no age. I mean,
eternal.
No years.
It's eternal living entities.
Yeah, because Yashodamata is there. So Yashodama is not going to look younger than Krishna, is it? So there is Krishna, there's a mother and whatever. They're all there, but there's no aging or anything like that. But the form shows the bhav they have. Like if Yashodama wants to be a mother, so then every time Krishna will go to and say, hello beta, how are you, and all that. But the mother can't be younger than the beta, can he?
Yes. Okay.
And so those things are there. All you have to do is hear some of the Krishna Leelas, which happens in Golok. Indriyesh says quite a lot. And then Bilvamanga Thakur was able to glorify Krishna in his Leelas. And it's Prakat Leela and Aprakat Leela. And there's a continuous Leela going on in the spiritual world and in the world here. But they manifest at appropriate time for the devotees. But those who are doing bhajan, mansik bhajan, they can do pragat in their mind, because it's at a subtle level and the spiritual level. So the leelas are going all the time, and there's Mansukha, Tansukha, there's Madhumangal, then there's the Manjari, then there's the Sakhis, and then but there's no demons over there. But there's a fear of demon. There's no Kans there, but there's a fear of Kans there. At the end of the evening, gopis say, oh, Krishna is going to Mathura. They all afraid, would he come back? And next day, it's back to normal. And it's called Ashtaka Leela. So it's the same Leela going over again, but it's fresh, Navyovan. It's like every time spring comes, we think, whoa, great. Every time summer comes, oh, great, and it's fresh. So like I said, we are speculating while we're talking, but if you hear the Leelas, you realize that like Tulsi, Virja was a Sakhi, and when she nearly got caught with Radharani came into the house, she turned into a river.
Yes.
So then Radharani cursed him. He said, okay, may you become a river. And that's why the Virja river is there. And the 7 children, they came and mocked her saying, why did you turn into a river? He goes, well, I curse you, you become oceans as well. So when she came down, the sons came, so ocean of salt, sweet honey, milk, all these others are there. So all those are linked up, and so they can change their form like that. It's nothing, but there's no time influence. Like the time doesn't make them old. But if they want to be old, they can. With their own will, they're able to do it and expand like that. We don't know the rasas, what's going on there. It's ecstasy. All right, with that, I think we'll be carrying on. So we've concluded now, Manjunath.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much to both the speakers, Vikram Prabhu and Amarnath Prabhu. Personally, I thought you did really well today, and we should continue speaking about more knowledgeable books. Haridas Prabhu and I are planning about it, so let's see how it goes. We should continue this every Tuesday, once in a week, and probably on Sundays as well, to continue this momentum. All right. So I think we can conclude, Haridas Prabhu. Next Sunday we have a class from Guru Sevak Prabhu, and that is for the remainder part of chapter number 2. We completed 34 verses, and we need to complete another 40 verses or something like that. So it would be Guru Sevak Prabhu Sunday next week, and Tuesday next week it would be Rinku Mataji plus Satya Mataji. I'm not sure, Haridas Prabhu, if Rinku Mataji would be available, because I got a call from him stating that she's unwell. So probably we need to get Pratik on board for chapter number 17.
That's all right. I'll talk to him.
All right. Okay.
There's no illness involved in this sort of thing. You can still speak. If you cough and sneeze, you're able to talk.
All right.
So, and then this Sunday is Varsi. So somebody's coming, their father passed away. So some of the messages could be from chapter 2, that we are now this body. It's a little reverse, and then go forward and finish it out like that.
Right.
Well, thank you, Manjunath Prabhu, for managing all this thing. It's really, really good.
Really appreciate it. Really appreciate the service that I'm getting. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you
Okay,
all.
please accept a humble obeisance. See you on Sunday before.
Haribo. Haribo.
Haribo.